The Germans are major smartasses. Now, I catch myself, of course, because I'm making a generalization. But the point I want to make is that the German political class, by the way, no different here than the French political class, has a certain arrogance both about itself and also about America. By the way, you see a little glimpse of this, just a metaphor for it, if you will, is in the film Casablanca, where, of course, the German officer who's in Casablanca talks about the American. He goes, "Those bungling Americans." And the idea here is that the Americans are naive, they're unsophisticated, they're fools. And then, of course, the French policeman goes, well, if you remember the last time the Americans bungled into Berlin at the end of World War I. So and of course, that happened again at the end of World War II. The point being that the Germans are not quite as smart as they think. And yet they're always snickering at America. And of course, when Trump told the Germans, he said, in effect, to the Angela Merkel team, look, the problem with the Nord Stream isn't just that you're making a deal with the Russians, but what comes with the deal is a dependency on Russia. You're now going to be dependent on them at their permission, if you will, to get your oil through the Nord Stream pipeline. And the Germans were like, that's Trump. He's such a fool. All he knows is how to build a building. What does he know about geopolitics or the relations between Europe and Russia? And of course, what's happening now is exactly what Trump predicted. Namely, the Russians are squeezing the Germans. How are they doing it? Well, they basically decided to choke the Nord Stream pipeline, to send a tiny portion of the oil through the pipeline. And the net effect of it is, and now reading from a headline, quote, "German cities are going dark," shutting off hot water to conserve energy. Well, let's just say that this is a big "I told you so" from Trump, because situations change. Suddenly the Russians are not so friendly, and suddenly the Russians decide, we're going to teach you a lesson. So it's the Russian gas corporation called Gazprom. They're like, we're going to restrict deliveries of natural gas to Germany to 20% capacity. So what's the effect? Across Germany, here we go, in the northwestern city of Hanover, hot water has been shut off in the municipal buildings for hand washing, showers, and other purposes. In addition, these buildings will only be heated from October through March, and mobile air conditioning units and fan heaters will be banned. So you're not allowed to try to make up for the absence of central heat by doing your own heat. The German economic minister, Robert Habeck, says that energy prices are going to go up, and the Germans are really going to feel the squeeze, especially as winter comes around. Quote, "We can't say yet how much gas will cost in November, but the bad news is it's definitely a few €100 per household." Other municipal measures include Nuremberg's closure of 3 out of its 4 indoor public swimming pools, and Munich's move to shut off the public fountains and the city hall spotlight at night. Again, these are signs that geopolitical sanctions cut both ways. When you say to the Russians, we won't buy your oil, or we're going to teach you a lesson, the Russians go, well, we'll stop selling you oil, and we're going to teach you a lesson. And so the pain is felt, you might say both ways. Now, of course, the tragedy for Germany is that in their climate frenzy, they have shut off nuclear power plants, which would be a source of energy. The Germans don't have the kind of oil and natural gas that we have, for example, in the United States. So what makes the United States plight, and of course, whenever you read something like cities are going dark, the question then becomes, when is Biden going to bring all that here? When are American cities going to go dark? When is it that we're going to have to turn off the lights and shut down turn off the heat and impose restrictions on what people can use and wattage requirements and so on? Debbie talks about how those were imposed in Venezuela. And again, the tragedy of it was Venezuela has oil. And so for an oil-rich country to do this is just downright nonsensical. And similarly for the United States, we're not in the position of Germany. We have our oil, we have our natural gas. We are able to develop it. if we want to. So to restrict it on the one hand, and then to start facing the kind of plight that Germany is facing now, is really to give Russia a much bigger victory than the Russians deserve.